Been 1 week since Fox News fired a shot across the bow of every conservative in America. If you oppose socialism, if you believe in a government of, by, and for the people, if you oppose Democrats and their totalitarian agenda, if you desire limited constitutional government to preserve your rights, security, and prosperity, your voice will no longer be heard, even at Fox News. Don't doubt me. That's my message in today's preamble. Now, some of you might recognize the immortal words of the great Rush Limbaugh. He often uttered ideas or predictions, mostly about the outcome and motivation of leftists, and those utterings almost always ended up being correct, 99.7% of the time, if memory serves. As a student of the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, I've put Al Rushbo's teachings and wisdom to use in my own career, and I'm finding the critical thinking skills that result are proving valuable in predicting things. For example, last Monday, Fox showed Tucker Carlson the door. On Tuesday, on Rob Carson's show, I said this.
Where do you think Tucker goes from here? Because everybody's reaching out. I know that, of course, Newsmax would like to have him. Why the hell not? Or Rumble. And he's good friends with Bongino, and Bongino got let go Saturday. So what do you think?
I think Tucker, if I'm reading the tea leaves properly, and I think you may see this too, I think Tucker's brand is probably now bigger than Fox News.
Oh, yeah.
So I think if I'm Tucker Carlson, if somebody doesn't want me talking to President Trump, if I'm Tucker Carlson, because it doesn't meet with the network's never Trump mindset, I don't want them to be able to have veto power over anything I do.
So the Fox crowd scoffed at me. In fact, the network, through one of their anchors at Sky News, actually said that Tucker was given the boot because he indeed wrongly believed he was bigger than Fox News.
Now, Tucker was actually sacked, and as some outlets have reported, just before I went to air, he was sacked by Lachlan Murdoch, the day-to-day boss of News Corp. Now that his father Rupert has stepped back. And the scoop is that he was sacked essentially for thinking that he was bigger than Fox News. But in fact, as you know, Fox News has lost other giants before.
Okay, that's when I knew I was onto something. And lo and behold, over the weekend, Rasmussen comes out with this poll, proving your liberty-loving Latino correct. The polling shows that Tucker Carlson is indeed more popular than the network that fired him. Of likely U.S. voters surveyed, 59% surveyed said they had a favorable view of Carlson, compared with 52% for Fox News. And more people out there believe Carlson's departure will make Fox News worse, not better. And then there's this. On Friday's preamble, I stated the following. Our rights, security, and prosperity first, over the political futures of evil people or those trying to protect evil people. The safest document in D.C., the Epstein client list. That's our focus in today's preamble. And after we made fun of the fact that myriad classified documents, once they've been leaked, have imperiled our national security, we also mused that they seem to be accessible to any Tom, Dick, or Harry out there, including a 21-year-old airman and Joe Biden's Corvette. That's when we wondered out loud why the fabled Epstein client list, which allegedly ensnares some of the biggest names in Washington, D.C., why that remains a secret. Now, I had no way of knowing what was about to drop over the weekend, but perhaps the fact that I'm plugged into the news and information world to such a degree, my brain intuitively knew that there are some pretty frightened, corrupt, and deviant power brokers in Washington right now, and I instinctively gravitated toward Epstein as the nexus, or at least one of the nexuses of their angst. Newly released documents revealed Joe Biden's appointed CIA director, William Burns, met with the now deceased sex trafficker, Jeffrey Epstein, on multiple occasions after he was convicted of sex crimes in Florida. After he was convicted. According to reports, the private calendar and emails show Epstein scheduled 3 meetings with Burns in 2014 when Burns was Deputy Secretary of State under Barack Obama. According to documents, their first meeting was planned for August in the Washington, D.C. office of the law firm Steptoe and Johnson. And the next 2 were booked for Epstein's Manhattan, New York townhouse. Epstein actually made the arrangements to have Burns taken back to the airport after one of these scheduled meetings. A full-service sex trafficker, apparently. A CIA spokesperson claims that when Burns met with Epstein, Burns had no idea who Epstein was. Quote, the director did not know anything about him other than that he was introduced as an expert in financial services sector and offered general advice on transition to the private sector, end quote. Now that spokesperson, CIA spokesperson, a woman by the name of Tammy Cooperman Thorpe, claimed, quote, they had no relationship, end quote. Wow. I wonder if Tucker Carlson would have had a thing or two to say about Epstein's connections to key parts of the federal government, Joe Biden's Democrat-controlled government. He might have, if Fox hadn't given him the old heave-ho, that is. In my opinion, they have a new agenda over there at Fox, joining the rest of the biased press in protecting Democrats in all the evil they're unleashing on this country, evil like this. Over the weekend in Texas, Fox and the rest of the biased press reported that, the authorities were seeking a Mexican national suspected of gunning down 5 people, including an 8-year-old child. Now, try as I might, folks, I couldn't find the legal status of one 38-year-old Francisco Oropeza. For that information, I had to go to Breitbart News, who placed informing we the people over protecting criminal aliens and a Democrat narrative. Not only did we discover that Oropeza was an illegal alien, Breitbart was also kind enough to inform us that he'd been deported 3 times. And because of the lawless border gifted to us by Democrats and their GOP enablers like John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell, Oropeza was able to come back again and again and kill in Texas. Thankfully, I think Americans are getting tired of the uniparty's illusion of a 2-party system. And with their eyes wide open, our people are recognizing that under the control freaks in big government, our lives are substantially worse. Americans also realize that it's up to us to protect our own. A Florida sheriff is proud, and left-wing criminal sympathizers are sad today after a brave store clerk gave a violent thug what he deserved. Reports say that Quintavis Kwame Jordan allegedly robbed a Flagler County Circle K early Friday morning in Florida and then fled toward Georgia on I-95 after driving into Georgia. Authorities deployed the spike strip then to stop the car. Jordan jumped from his car, ran into a convenience store, and allegedly brandished a firearm, demanding the clerk hand over keys to his car. Now, the clerk complied. But because Jordan is a lawless thug and not the sharpest tool in the shed, he crashed the stolen car before even leaving the parking lot. And that's when the thug reportedly re-entered the store, began chasing the clerk around. After all of that, the clerk shot him 8 times. Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley said, quote, I also commend the Georgia store clerk that put a swift end to this dirtbag's crime spree. If he survives his injuries, he should spend a long time in prison, end quote. But you can rest assured, my friend, that Soros-funded DAs like Alvin Bragg and other left-wingers out there are going to be painting a target on that clerk's back for daring to stop one of their beloved Democrat criminals. The policies and rhetoric of the American left and their Democrat Party send a clear message that they don't have Americans' best interests at heart. It's a sad day to know that the effort to allow the Democrats to undertake this attack on our people is now being covered up by once trusted sources like Fox News. I have said that it is my belief that Democrats and their voters no longer wish to be Americans, that they seek the permanent destruction of our Constitution and the limits it places on their totalitarian impulses. And the news cycle continues to prove me correct. Don't doubt me.